Good evening, good morning, everyone. You know what time it is. Thirsty Thursday. And time for another edition of Hometown Hammer. Now I see Dalek in the chat room this evening. Hopefully everyone else will start shuffling in. Yes, Kieran, I am on time this evening. Thank you, thank you. This is going to be the last Hometown Hammer for a while, which is kind of happy and kind of sad. I mean, at least I can focus on schoolwork, but sad because I don't know what I'm going to do in the summer. So I don't know. We might have to talk. I'll have to talk to Tim to see what we're going to do. But hopefully we can come up with some new ideas. Hey, Tebow, how are you? Thank you so much for jumping in this evening. Just getting started. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, every like is a West Ham win, and you know we need to get that last win on the board. Don't forget, you can get your American Hammers TV gear at ahtv.threadless.com. Get yourself a Hometown Hammer Philadelphia West Ham Philly t-shirt, Dallas Hammers t-shirt. There's plenty of memorabilia out there to get before the season ends. All right. So tonight I am going to kick it off with a new addition to our Hammer family. I am very excited to officially introduce this new Hometown Hammer. He hails from Harrisonburg, Virginia, and he is a loyal fan. I actually found him on one of our Facebook pages, and he needs a local group to meet up with. So we really need to find what his closest club is. I'm going to need your help tonight, guys, to figure out where we can get him to party and take hammer shots, right? We got to take those hammer shots, guys. All right, so without further ado, I've made you wait long enough. I am going to formally introduce you to Jordan. Hey, Jordan.
Hi.
How are you?
Thanks for the introduction. That was good. I'm good. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm good. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how people can follow you on social media, and then we'll jump into your fandom and all that.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I have much of a social media trail, but I'm on Facebook.
But I found you.
Yeah, that's true. And I was curious how you found me. Was it, I think, because I joined an Austin, Texas West Ham fan group.
Yes.
Because I traveled there a few weeks ago, and I was wondering if there was a good place to watch the game, so I joined the group. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out. I didn't actually meet anybody there, but they did point me to some good places, so that was cool. But yeah, I actually am from, I tell people, from Indiana. I grew up in Goshen, Indiana, and then I came out to Virginia for college, and I've lived here ever since graduating from there. Except for 1 year that I spent in Albania teaching. But yeah, I became a Hammers fan not too long ago, really, about 3 years ago. But I've had always paid attention to the EPL. I've had a long-standing group of about 10 friends who we do EPL fantasy. And so I've been paying attention for a long time, and West Ham was always one of those teams that I kind of liked, but I never knew if I wanted to pull the trigger of committing to a team. But I did it a few years ago. So and lucky me, because this year has been great so far.
Yeah, you actually are very lucky, but you did also have quite some suffering last year.
That's true. Actually, that was my first full year. I said 3 years, so that was probably a lie. So I became a fan in the middle of the, would have been 18-19 season. And when Pellegrini was manager, Felipe Anderson, and they were bringing in Haller, I was really excited about that. And then last season happened, and I was like, dang, am I a curse on this team? Because I just started my first full season committing, and they're in a relegation battle. But thankfully they pulled it out, and now yeah, it's been a great season.
Well, this is a special night for you. We have the godfather of the network here, Mr. Melican. He says, smash the like button. All right, everybody, give me some likes. Hey, Kieran. Hey, I was on time this evening, by the way. You were late. All right. So actually, that is funny that you say that I did find you in the Austin group because 2 weeks later, I went to Austin.
Oh,
And
okay.
unfortunately, my flight didn't work out. I couldn't stay there to watch the game with the team. But I'm interested to hear what you thought of Austin.
Oh, I love Austin. So my wife's good friend, she has about 3 friends, and she's also from Indiana. But of course, Austin is a kind of booming city right now. So she has a few friends who have happened to move there. So yeah, about 3 years ago was probably the first time we visited, and I think I've been there at least 4 times now.
Oh, wow.
Visiting them. For either our spring break. We're both teachers, so it's a good place to go for in the spring break. So yeah, I really enjoyed Austin. I like the all the nature and the beautiful trails it has to offer, the water, the river, the what's it called, Barnum Springs.
Yep.
There. And I love craft beer, so they have some pretty good craft breweries to check out there too. So, and of course the food, the tacos and the barbecues and everything. So yeah, I really enjoy visiting.
I was super excited to see the bats, but apparently because the winter was so bad this year in Texas, there were very little that came out. So
yeah, I don't remember seeing bats this last time.
Yeah, I was sad. That was like the big thing I wanted to see. I don't know why, but it was. Yeah, Mark, totally right. Still buzzing about the game yesterday. I couldn't believe it. I was predicting a 2-1 or 3-1 win, which is exactly what occurred. I was definitely biting my nails in the beginning. It looked like we were starting out a little rough. What did you think about the game, Jordan?
To be honest, I thought it was one of the worst games I saw us play. Like we just were losing the ball so easily, and I think it might be overlooked a little bit that it was the first game with like fans back, and so for West Brom, like to hear the fans, it was so cool. But it was like, I bet this affects the players in some way of creating an atmosphere, and it was the first and only time that they were going to see West Brom in the Premier League. So that kind of is a weird coincidence. But like, I was not, of course, after the Declan Rice missed the penalty, I was still hopeful because it was like at least we drew a penalty within the first couple minutes. Like,
Right.
we'll be all right. But then going down 1-0, it's like, man, this is pretty bleak right now. But this team is so resilient, and they always, fight. And even though it wasn't pretty, I think it was like, just like any win, just a very, very important win.
Yeah, I actually ended up watching the stream with a group in Columbus called the E13. We sat and did a live stream together, and I said to Kevin, who was running it, I said, we need to score by the end of this half. And, I was like, oh, yeah, there's only like 3 minutes left. And then they added 2 more minutes on, and we both got a buzz on our phone. We're like, oh, it's halftime. We must have, we're going into halftime 1-0. And then we saw later we scored, and I was like, oh, thank God. And I think that made all the difference to keep our spirits up. But yeah, it was great. I was happy. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Definitely not our best played game. But, looking forward to the future and what it holds for us. So how did you settle on West Ham? So like you were doing fantasy and you were following certain teams prior to that, or just certain players, and then what was that deciding factor? Because you said you had a deciding factor that kind of drove you to choose West Ham.
Yeah. So this could be kind of a long-winded story. But even before I was a part of this fantasy league. I played soccer up until like high school, but I always loved watching international soccer. And then, of course, as you know, in America, I think the most streamed and popular league to watch here would be the EPL. Oh, besides maybe the MLS, but like, you know, for a foreign league, EPL kind of dominated. So I kind of gravitated towards EPL teams. And, you know, I'm the type who like, I never really root for the star teams. Like being from Indiana, I'm a big basketball fan, but I hated in the 90s. I always wanted to see the Bulls lose. Like I know Michael Jordan's like the best ever, you know, they were amazing, but like I always rooted against them. I don't know why, but I just like seeing more like underdog stories. So I think that might be initially why West Ham was kind of on my radar, because I like the fact that they are a big team. You know, like they have a big following. They're in London. They have history. You know, like they're a big team, but they're not considered the top six. You know, they don't splash out money like a lot of other teams do. So I think they were kind of on my radar for that. And I'll be honest, like similarly, I would compare like Newcastle, and I might be way off base. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but like Newcastle, Everton, Crystal Palace. Like I always kind of like those teams that were always in the EPL, but and would have good players, but they weren't necessarily like dominating. So that was my initial like they're on my radar. Well, my the summer after my senior year of college, I did an internship. I was a history major, and I did an internship in DC. So I lived in DC for a summer, and I was an intern at the Anacostia Community Smithsonian Museum, which is a Smithsonian museum, but it's like not on the strip there. It's like a neighborhood museum. And at the time, we were working on an exhibit about urban waterways. And you're probably asking, like, what does this have to do with being a West Ham fan? But one day I walk in, and that's right, definitely not part of the Pig Six. I walk in, and the head historian calls me into her office, and she said, "We're going to call this man from London." And he was a big part of cleaning up the River Thames for the London Olympics, which I guess would have been the 2000 and what year? 12 Olympics. And you know, he's like a billionaire. He's like very powerful, but he like did this big like restoration project. It's like, oh, interesting. So she calls him up, and as she's like dialing, she's like, oh, and he's like part owner of West Ham. And I was like, what? Like that blew my mind. Like, are you serious? We're talking to like an owner of an EPL team. So to be honest, I'm not sure if that's David Gold or
Sullivan.
Okay. Yeah, I still never really figured that out. And
Wow.
I know our owners aren't very popular with the fans, but I gotta say, like, in this phone conversation, I was blown away by his knowledge of like and the way he spoke about urban river restoration. Like it sounds so strange, but like he was going into these details that I was just impressed. Like, wow, this guy owns West Ham. He seems like a environmentalist scientist or something, the way he's talking about it, like very well. So that like immediately made me impressed. And I was like, you know what? Like I always kind of like West Ham. I'm gonna like really pay attention to West Ham now. But like I said, that was almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
So that just put them in bigger favor for me. Fast forward several years, and I got married, and I convinced my wife to also be part of our fantasy soccer team, and then or league, and then she ended up winning it, of course, like twice. Like she's amazing at it, which is annoying. But we kind of talked amongst ourselves, and like we need to like pick a team to follow. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to follow West Ham. And then she bought me this jersey actually, and like a bunch of West Ham gear. And you know, that's when it really solidifies. Like, okay, there's no no turning back now.
That's right.
So that's the whole story. Kind of a long-winded story, but
I'm glad you didn't turn back after last season. It was a little touch and go there.
yeah, it was. But you know, I especially after they came back from the restart, there seemed to be a different vibe about them, and I had to, definitely was not expecting where they are now in the table, but I felt confident, felt like we always had a good team. It just wasn't clicking, but I'd give a lot of credit to David Moyes. I think he's been a great manager for this team.
He has. There are some things I'd like to tweak, but yes, overall, he's really made a big improvement. Connor says that there's no way David Goldwood knowledge of fresh ecosystems. Had to be Sullivan. Love it, Wally, here in Philadelphia. Sullivan cleaning up. That's great. I love it. I love it when you guys throw your punches at them.
Oh, and can I add a little anecdote to
absolutely.
that phone call? And again, I should have really researched this more, but when on the phone call, he kind of dropped the knowledge of hinting at, he said, yeah, we're thinking about moving to the London Stadium. Because a lot of him was talking about cleaning up the River Thames for the London Olympics. Well, I guess he also helped invest in this London Stadium with the knowledge of he was going to take it from the Boiling Ground to the London Stadium. And, I didn't really think much of it, but I was like, oh, he was it seemed like he was kind of I don't know if I should be telling you this, but we're going to then go to, but I think a lot of people had already kind of assumed that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
At least from my perspective. And then, of course,
some insider information.
When it happened, it was that's great. Of course, there was a big backlash, and now looking back, I've watched these mini docs and all this about that move and how unpopular it was and how cool of a ground that place was, and how I would love to visit London someday and watch West Ham in person. And I'm sure going to the London Stadium will be awesome, but I think it would have been a lot cooler had it been at the Boylan.
Yeah, I missed out on that as well. I had the opportunity to go to London Stadium, and for me, it was phenomenal. Hearing the stories about Boleyn, it'll never compare to that, but still, just to go and have the experience, you will not regret it. Everyone is screaming, cussing, and bubbles are just flying left and right. It's just the best day you'll ever have.
Yeah.
So you got to get there. You have to.
It's on my next place I really want to visit. I've never been to the UK, but I'd love to.
Yeah, so the guys were talking about it last night on West Ham Wednesdays. Hopefully things will start to open up soon. We don't know for certain, but we're all patiently waiting to hear, because I know a lot of us want to get over there at the beginning of next season. So it'll definitely, we're all going to be chomping at the bit to get over there, especially with how well we've been doing. I think it'll be
really cool that there's going to be fans there this Sunday. That's awesome. I wish I was one of those. I think I saw 10,000 fans will be there.
Yeah. I agree with you. It was odd to see fans in the stadium against West Brom. I was like, wait, there's fans? Is that what?
Well, and if you ever got used to the artificial noise, it's just not the same. With the live crowd, you get the booing and the specific chants. It's so much better live with live audience.
So who would you say is your favorite player? And it could be someone from this season or past seasons that you experienced or before your official fandom.
Yeah, I got to say the first player that I was really aware of, but I'm not saying my favorite, but Dimitri Payet, he had some amazing goals individuals that were like top of the season, and I remember just like, wow, like this guy's amazing. But he wasn't there for very long. As far as my favorite hammer, I got to pick someone from this season, and it's hard to because like there's such a what I love about them is they're such a team, and you know like I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm just like it's hard for me to settle on somebody because then I think of someone else. I'm like, well, but they're so crucial too, and I love their attitude. But I would say. Declan Rice and Suchek are the most important players for our team, I would say. The way they can handle the midfield duties and they allow our front players to be more expansive, I think they are like so amazing at what they do. And I love their attitude, and Suchek he just plays so hard and doesn't like I don't know. He's just like someone that you want to have on your team. But then again, I would say that for so many of our other players, like Sufal, I love. Of course, Antonio is one of my favorites. And I also think someone who I don't often see as appreciated, but I think is huge for our team is Fabianski. Like,
absolutely.
He is a hell of a goalie.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah. We talk about that a lot on this channel.
Yeah. And, it was a bummer to see that he had to go out this last game. I haven't heard anything. Do you know, was it a small thing?
It was, I think he was kicking the ball in warm-ups, somehow did something. So that's very common with hip injuries. Just, if you extended something, it can just get aggravated and act up, and it can be quite frustrating. So I think that's what occurred. But yeah, it's tough. And we've talked about having to look for, his next replacement, and played great against West Brom. So
yeah, I like Randolph. I don't really know his situation. Is he is he with us for a while, or is he has he been at West Ham for a while?
So no, he hasn't been at West Ham for long. I don't know how long he has, but I know we definitely need another goalie.
Yeah.
Because obviously Roberto is not an option.
Back to my favorite West Ham player, though. I would also say this was the first year where he's not a selection, really, but Mark Noble. When he's playing, you root for him the most to do well because he's Mr. West Ham. So how can you not love him? But I also understand that he probably shouldn't be a first selection on our team at this point. But he's a great sub if we're up, or I'm sure just a great person to have around the team.
Yeah, and it's bittersweet that this is his last season. I really kind of question if that's really going to be the case.
No, I think you mean this next season?
This season, yeah. This next season will be his last.
Yeah. But at least there'll be fans back, hopefully.
I hope that he has a role on the coaching staff.
Oh, he should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I could totally see him being a manager.
So Connor says Randolph was here a few years back. Yeah, it was 2020, and I know he was with someone else before that. Middleborough, I think it was. Jesse says, hey, Jesse, good to see you on tonight, too. Yeah, Roberto was complete crap. We all know that. Come on. We don't ever want to go back to that. So, yeah, we're definitely looking for a goalie and someone else up top to help us with our finishing game. We struggle. We've been struggling a bit on our finishing.
Yeah, and I always so last year probably the decision not player management, but tactical decision that I've been the most upset at Moyes at since I've started watching was when we had Haller. I know he didn't quite fit the profile of like hardworking, tracking back, running for a lot of things. But I wanted to see, and I only remember like one or two games where they would play Haller up top and Antonio kind of as a winger, but like a really attacking winger up with him. And because Haller was so good technically with receiving the ball, and he's a big body, and I just wanted to see them together more, but it didn't really happen, somewhat because of injury. But Haller, I always rated pretty highly, but he never quite, he wasn't consistent for us, and I can understand like him moving on. I thought that he's a good player, and partially because Antonio, like he impresses me every game with what he does, but I want him like running at the goal, and then like finishing that way or coming off the wing a little more. He's not really your like typical out and out striker. But that being said, he scores a lot of goals. So like, what am I talking about?
Yeah, when it comes to tactics and being a technical player, couldn't be more opposite between Haller and Antonio.
Right.
Antonio's just the bull in the china shop there. Yeah, I mean, as long as he can keep his head down and get the ball somewhere within the vicinity of the net, not over the net, I think we'd be in good shape. So hopefully Moyes has plans to work on that in the off season. I would say Moyes just really frustrates me in the sense that we've had opportunities and games that we've been in where we could have exploited the other team if we just simply spread the field and worked the ball. I thought that sometimes we kind of sunk down to their level of play and often rushed to try and force a goal at times where we didn't need to. And then the opposite end of things, when we needed the goal, we're rushing and we're just throwing the ball away at certain points in time. So it's just kind of having everyone get a little bit more confidence, playing better together. And, tactically, I hope Moyes kind of helps keep them with the right head about them. I was disappointed to see he took out Ben Rama in the last game. I thought Ben Rama was playing really well.
Totally agree. Who would have, like, I didn't mind Bone coming in, but not for Ben Rama. Who would you have rather seen be subbed out at that time?
At first I was thinking he should have taken Fornals, but after some consideration, some people are saying Lingard.
Yeah, he was off. He was off that game, and I was saying Lingard, which really surprises me because I love Lingard, and
Me too.
How could you not with how he's performed since he's got on the team? But and also I gotta say I have a lot of questions about Fornals, and it hurts me to say because I love his work rate, and it's important. Like, it actually is really important what he does out there in terms of, challenging whenever he can. In our last goal that Antonio scored, you could point towards how he intercepted that ball, and then it was a pure effort play. But that being said, it's weird to me that how can a player's best attribute just be their effort? I've seen him stuff so many passes and shots that it drives me wild. And I feel like he's a pretty popular player with West Ham fans overall, and partly because of his attitude and his work rate, because you got to love that. And that's kind of identifying of this team, those qualities. But I've always been a little bit surprised at how highly people rate him, because to me, he just lacks a foot skill with the ball and decision making, especially in times that are
critical,
or he's
Yeah.
one-on-one with the keeper. He falls down. He slips a lot when he shoots.
Yeah.
Like he gets too excited and then kind of scuffs it. And so quality-wise, I would say like Ben Rama. I think Ben Rama, as far as our most recent signings, other than Suchek and maybe Sufal, but Ben Rama makes me really excited. I like Bowen too, for his directness, and he's pretty skilled and he works hard as well. In a way, Bowen is kind of like, to me, an in-between Fornals and Ben Rama in terms of skill-wise with the ball. I would rate Ben Rama as having the highest ball skill and delivery. But well, he also works pretty hard too, though. So I like this team so much because of that reason. A lot of players are just willing to like track back and run a lot. And I don't know if you saw Antonio's interview, I think after the what game would have that been? I think it was 2 or 3 games ago. And he mentioned how when Moyes got there, he looked at their total distance run covered per game ranking in the EPL, and it was like bottom like 5. And since then, it's top 5.
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference because, I mean, of course, like that's why I credit Moyes so much. Like he is able to convince the team like to just go hard, just go like play your ass off, and good things will happen.
I love that about them, but it also, you need management to know when to substitute because individuals are dog tired.
Yes, he's
very hesitant. So tired and
he's very hesitant to sub.
Yeah, we need those fresh legs. So just wanted to point out a comment that I saw that I thought was interesting. It was just basically asking, you know, what's it going to be like? Who are we going to get over the summer? Oh, Steve. Here you go, Steve. It'll be interesting to see who we sell and who we bring in. Yeah, that's the biggest question, and that's where my head's really just kind of in a crazy space.
Yeah.
Because it's so up in the air, and I just don't know what they're thinking, and I don't know how much money we have.
Yeah.
Because we like to sell, you know, lower than what we buy.
Yeah, and I think even this year, when we weren't involved in extra competitions in Europe, we're a pretty thin squad. And so the prospect of playing in Europe next year, it's like, it's a little daunting to like think about how that's actually going to be done if we don't bring in some players.
David agrees. Actually, David, I hope your back's doing okay. Send me a text and let me know. Yeah, that Jesse couldn't send a pass to save his life. I couldn't really see on my live stream. It was kind of blurry. So
does he mean Lingard with the first comment, or does he mean Fornals?
Lingard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was getting a lot intercepted and
and Tebow's pointing out that Antonio is just 1 goal behind Di Canio's Premier League total, which is pretty crazy for
incredible.
Yeah, he's definitely a hard worker. Imagine how many more goals he would have, Tebow, if he wasn't hitting the post or going straight over the goal. Pretty nuts to think about.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see the statistics of his like conversion rate. Is probably not great, but his chances created are probably pretty high because he just works so hard that he'll get a lot of opportunities.
Lee says, in Moyes we trust. I hope so. I really hope that he can really convince David, Gold, and Sullivan to open up those purse strings because, you know, we have some needs and they need to be filled, and, you know, we don't have much of a bench. So, well, I guess we'll see what happens. So one one of the things that I ask guests when they come on the show is if they have a favorite chant, that they share the chant with us, and you get extra bonus points if you can sing it. So if you want, feel free to sing whatever chant is your favorite. My favorite is Claret Blue Army. So,
to be honest, I'm not very familiar with the chants at all.
And so that,
I'll just be honest. But
no, that's fair.
That
is fair.
The Forever Blowing Bubbles theme song is like, that's incredible. That's amazing. I play that before the games, after the games, loudly, and my wife gets upset because it's been played loudly. But that's an amazing song for the team. But that's my extent of like chants. But you know, it's funny you say that, because it made me realize when in this last game, when there were fans in the stadium for West Brom, that's what was missing with no fans. Like, a West Brom player did some nice, like, little composed move in the midfield that you would never like think to rant and rave about. But the fans there loved it so much, and they have this chant for this specific player, and they did it, and it's just like, that's cool. Like, so I would love to know all the chants for the players. But
so I don't know them either, and that was kind of one of the goals with asking that question on the show. So then we could all start to learn them together.
Yeah.
We've had some interesting ones. My favorite is one of the ones about Tottenham. So yeah, so we'll continue to try to search out some of those songs, especially next season. I guess if you guys come on and Charlie Boy doesn't want to sing, then I guess I'll just have to start singing with Peach whenever Peach wants to come on. All right. So here's a hard question.
Okay.
Apple pie or meat pie?
Meat pie. But I don't know if I've ever had it in the traditional English culinary way. But I've had savory pies. My wife's family is from Finland. Well, a part of the family from Finland, and they have something called I'm blanking on it, but it's essentially a savory meat, roast beef, potato pie with like a pie crust, and it's awesome. So I would say that. But when one of the many reasons I want to visit England is obviously to see West Ham, but like I said earlier, I like beer a lot, and so to go to like a pub and have an ale, like a real like traditional British ale, and then like a meat pie or fish and chips, that sounds awesome to me.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to kill me, because I've actually had meat pie when I was over in London, but wouldn't chicken pot pie be a meat pie?
Is there gravy in meat pies in England? I don't know.
Ours had gravy.
Gravy? Okay.
Turkey, cranberry, mashed potato, and gravy.
Yeah, it sounds like a pot pie.
I mean, right? Wally says traditional warm beer.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Light and warm beer.
Oh, no. So, since you're a beer drinker, what are some of your favorite home brews or IPAs, or what do you drink normally? Like, what's your go-to?
Oh, go-to? I have a hard time ever like settling for something. I always want to try different things. But my favorite breweries in the US, I'd have to say Three Floyds, which is in Indiana, kind of outside of Chicago. That's an amazing brewery. In Virginia, there's a little brewery called Basic City in Waynesboro, Virginia, but they make amazing beer. And there's like 4 or 5 breweries in Harrisonburg where I live, and they're all good. My favorite being Brothers Brewery. But yeah, I have a hard time like having a go-to beer. I like pretty much every style of beer, and I like trying new breweries. I would say though, more and more, I'm getting into drinking like lighter beers, especially if it's like in the daytime, which
Yeah.
is why I think the British style of like it's normally like lower ABV than like American craft beers are, and warm, but very flavorful and easy to drink.
Yeah, I like the oatmeal chocolate stouts.
Oh, not easy to drink. I mean, easy to drink, but not like you
Not
want to pound them out.
continuous. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I like some of the like golden ales and that kind of thing too. So
Mhm.
I dabble in a little bit of everything. A little bit of Jack Daniels, a little bit of vodka, a little bit of wine. Usually I drink on my Thursday shows, but yes, Fo, me and Peach will rap, but guess what? I said if we got to Champions League, I would rap. So guess what? That's not coming this year. Jesse, yes, Tottenham. If you hate Tottenham, stand up. See, mine was we're all having a party. We're all having a party. Tottenham fucked it up. Because Tottenham fucked it up. Because Tottenham fucked it up. Okay. So
that would have been saying with when Reguilon did his own goal this last weekend. When they were winning 1-0, then Reguilon scored an own goal for them, and then they ended up losing.
Yeah.
That's classic Tottenham fucking it up right there.
Oh, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Oh, Lee, why are you talking about McDonald's? Everybody in London, they love McDonald's. And I'm like, no, Chick-fil-A. And we were talking about Taco Bell last week. Yeah. So, Dalek, am I free in the summer? After school? Yeah, sure. I don't know why. I can't come to London yet. We got to wait it out. Okay, what would you say is the best thing to eat in your town? So, like, when people come to Philly, they're obviously getting a cheesesteak or like tasty cakes, something good. So, like, where you live now, or even back home in Indiana, what would you say is like your favorite thing to eat, or like what your city is known for?
I can't say Harrisonburg is known for a particular dish, but it's in the Shenandoah Valley, which is a very like agricultural area. So there's a bunch of like farms and
There's
like
a lot of wineries.
farms. What's that?
There's a lot of wineries in the valley.
Yeah, especially towards Charlottesville. There's a stretch, Afton Road, that's known for tons of breweries and wineries. But I would say what I would recommend if anyone is not only happening to go through Harrisonburg, but anywhere in the valley. In Harrisonburg, there's a restaurant called the Local Chop and Grill House, and it's a nice, not white tablecloth fancy, but like kind of fancy place to get a steak and any kind of like grilled meat, and just amazing food. I used to work there too, so I might be biased.
Nice.
But it's one of the nicer Harrisonburgs in the whole valley, or restaurants in the whole valley. Yes.
I actually zip-lined. I zip-lined, and I pretty sure I went tubing. Yeah, I did tubing in the Shenandoah.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was great fun.
We have tubes. We go tubing in the summer all the time in the rivers.
Yes, Dalek, it's nighttime here in Philadelphia. It's 8:43, so yeah, it's dark out now.
I still see some light in the sky.
You have a little bit?
Yeah.
No, it's dark. We're dark here.
You're a little further east than we are.
Yeah, true, very true.
Was it like almost 90 degrees for you today?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Pretty hot. I'm loving it. Okay, so who would you say frustrates you the most on the squad?
I think I alluded to it earlier, but I'd have to say Fornals.
Yeah.
And the thing, like, I'm very slowly growing to appreciate him for what he does for our team. And I love being proved wrong by him because he has had some crucial assists and a couple goals last year. But to me, like, just looking at the quality of passing and play with the ball, he is he's a step behind like everyone else on the team. And I know I've said like when my friends like ask me about West Ham players concerning like EPL, I've gone off some like rants about Fornals that I regret. Like I've probably been too harsh on him, and now I'm like he's building my appreciation. I'll put it that way. But I would definitely mark him as like my most frustrated player.
Yeah, mine's Diop. I really get frustrated with Diop. But
yeah, which game was that? Burnley when he came in. I think he had maybe started a couple games, but they were exposing him really bad. They just kept doing this ball over the top.
Yep, and he was always a step behind.
Mm-hmm.
Lee, yes, I am blaming you for talking about food. I don't know. I guess it's because I'm hungry. Like, I had dinner tonight, though. So I would totally do Taco Bell again, Wally. So if you want to come pick me up, Wally lives, like, right down the street from me. And I'm like, we were talking about Taco Bell last week, and he's like, I'll come pick you up. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Steve, he says the weather's awful in London. That's sorry, but we'll wait until the weather gets better and then we'll come. You know, Dalek, I've had Nando's. Nando's is an Indian restaurant, I believe. And it was amazing.
Chicken place? Chicken? Like South African chicken? Is that Nando's?
I don't know. Nipoon, now he's hungry too. That's funny. All right, so one last food question, and then I'll get off the topic because I just need to know this. I love pizza and I love tacos, and it's always a hard decision. So what would you choose, pizza or tacos?
Wow. If we're talking like amazing of both foods, top quality of both foods, I would actually go towards tacos. And that might be because I was in Austin recently and I had some incredible tacos, but I've always liked I like to grill a lot, and so I make a lot of tacos with either like grilled chicken or grilled steak. Pizza is amazing too, though. So it kind of depends, I guess, on the mood I'm in, but I'll give the nod to tacos.
Yeah, tacos. I'm feeling tacos tonight. I might have to make some after this. Okay, what about West Ham do you love?
I love feeling, even though, like, I to be honest, I've never really met another West Ham fan, but from everything I've seen, everything I've read, just watching the team, I know that I would say they're considered, like, in London at least, a like working class team of like supporters. Just the area that West Ham is in, it's like a working class, real people. And I love pretty much all of my favorite teams in all of my sports have this quality of like optimism of like we could be awesome and like we could win a lot. You know, like it's not out of the realm to say West Ham could become on the level of these top teams, but they're not there yet in terms of trophies. But I like that kind of intense fandom that I see from West Ham supporters, like really hardcore West Ham fans. Like they have a big following. They're about like the working class, like work hard mentality. That's what I love about West Ham.
I love it.
I mean, they're one of those freaking hammers. Like, what else can you say?
Exactly. No, great answer. Wally says Jordan loves us because of our river ecologist owner, which is hilarious. That's so funny.
Yeah, I wish I could have like recorded that conversation and leaked it. It would have been great, but
that would be pretty wild.
Sort of a strange coincidence.
Yeah, that is. Wally thinks that you have the best West Ham story. Wally, I seem to beg to differ. I think mine is pretty amazing. No, I'm kidding. Mine's boring. Me and my brother traveling to London together and trying to survive. That was just the funny part. So what team do you love to beat the most?
Ooh, that's easy. That's easy for me, but it's probably not a like traditional West Ham fan answer. But I have two friends in my EPL league who for some reason are just like diehard Everton fans. And they annoy me so much with Everton. And I've always like Everton, I don't know what it is about them. I just always root against them. And I've had a running bet for like the last 4 years now of my friend who's a huge Everton fan, and then we bet basically a fancy beer, like a really nice fancy beer, on who will finish atop of the table, ahead of the table, in the table. And it's always been Everton until this year, unless we lose like 5-0 and they win 4-0 this week, which I don't think will happen. But yeah, for me, it's Everton. I don't like Everton.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, everybody has their who they really love to beat.
But and of course, though, second and not a far second would probably be Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea, and then Tottenham, and then Arsenal.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I can get behind Chelsea. I'm definitely A-OK crushing Tottenham all the time because my father's a Tottenham fan, so I'd love to shove it in his face when we win.
Is Tottenham kind of the consensus biggest rival of West Ham that we love?
Yeah, for the most part. I'm trying to think of who else would.
I mean, Chelsea's got to be high up there too.
Yeah, I think Chelsea's become more popular recently. There is someone else that's close.
Oh, well, like Millwall.
Yeah, Millwall. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So if you had a time machine to go back to any point to see any game or any player or see a specific game, when would you go? What would it be? Who would you see? Tell me about it.
So I learned recently, like, West Ham won a European Cup. I should know what year, with like Bobby Moore. So I feel like as far as history goes, like that is probably the most amazing like historical feat from West Ham. And I've seen highlights. I've been on the kick of watching like old highlights on YouTube, and I watched Bobby Moore play for England, and I think he won against Pele in a World Cup, and he was a defender. And like, of course, there was a highlight reel, but just his tackles were incredible. Like he kind of like a Declan Rice in terms of like anticipation and being long and just like intercepting the ball. So I would love to have seen Bobby Moore. And when the year they won the European Cup, which unfortunately I don't know when that was. 70s? Early 70s?
Yeah, early 70s. I was just talking about this with Tebow. West Ham was the second English club to win the European trophy before Liverpool and Man United. The first was Tottenham, who won in 1963. So I guess we won in 1964. Funny enough that we were talking about that. I just want to go back to see one game at the Boland. I don't even.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can totally relate to that. And everyone knows that's definitely where I want to be and what I want to do. So next game, Southampton, last game of the season. 1965. So thank you, Tebow. I knew you would come through. I need you to tell me your prediction of the game in your best British accent.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to be buzzing for Sunday. It's a massive game. You know, Southampton, they're a good team. I can't do the accent. I got the vocabulary, but I don't have the accent.
Hey, that's fine.
At least from watching like interviews of West Ham fans and Declan Rice and Antonio loves.
You were brilliant.
What? Brilliant.
You were brilliant. Yeah, it's funny. So I went on to one of our other friends' shows, and they made me play Karen Brady, but I have a terrible British accent. So everyone tries to get me to do my British accent, and it is not good. Not good. So what are we thinking the score will be against Southampton?
I don't like playing Southampton right now. I feel like they're a pretty good team, and I have a hard time. Like, I feel like this is why I'm a West Ham fan, and a lot of West Ham fans are similar. I'm very pessimistic.
I thought that was funny. I said you sound Irish. I'm pretty sure I was doing an Irish accent because that's like the only one I know.
I was trying to do Cockney, but yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no way I could do Cockney.
I'm sure it didn't roll off well, but yeah, I'm very pessimistic, and when there were like 10 games left in the season, and it was like, whoa, we could be in the Champions League, and then a lot of stuff that I see is from like Reddit, like subreddit Hammers, and people will just like assume like, okay, we're gonna win this game, and then possibly tie or lose these games. And I'm like, this is the EPL. Like, you can lose any game on any given, like it's hard to really feel confident. But because it's our last season and the type of players we have, I think they're gonna really get up for this game. I would say also, I think Danny Ings is out. I think he might have gotten injured.
Mm-hmm. He's injured.
And he's a hell of a player. I'm going to say 2-0 West Ham.
Nipoon seems to think we're going to get 5-3. I don't know how I'm feeling. Feeling a little 3-0, I think. I think that's where we're going to come in. And before I close out, Tebow has a little bit of advice on your English accent. Drop your H's and square every other word. Okay, Tebow, well, we'll be practicing. I'll be practicing for next season of Hometown Ama. Oh, man, that's funny. Yeah, I'm going to really have to practice, guys. Wally just says say the C word a lot. Yeah, that is our worst curse word by far. Lee, it's so good to see you. You're always coming in right as I'm getting ready to close the gates. Man. Well, this was fun. I'm so glad you got to come on, and we're going to have to talk more about Austin because I didn't have such an amazing experience. So I'm going to have to hear about everywhere you went. But guys, we need to find Jordan a home. he needs to be able to watch the game with other West Ham fans. So if anyone knows anyone in Virginia, we need to get him connected. So Lee, it's highly likely you're going to want to pluck Jordan for one of your shows because he's fabulous. And I will take any sort of finder's fee. All right, guys. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much again. It's been an awesome season. Jordan, thank you so much for being my final guest of the season. You were amazing. Wally says, great show. Oh, God. Let's hope we don't go down any alleys. That's an inside joke, Jordan. Sorry. We'll fill you in later. All right, guys, let's do it. Let's wrap up the season. Hopefully we can get that win on Sunday, and I'm going to leave you all with a come on, you Irons. So, Jordan, give it to us.
Come on, you Irons. Let's go. Sunday.
All right, guys. I'll see you soon. Take care. And you know how to find me, Miss West Ham Philly. See you guys. Stay safe.